Live from Washington, D.C., Jay Sekulow Live. Phone lines are open for your questions right now.
Get ready to go a little old school, folks, because we are fighting the Military Religious Freedom Foundation and, you know, their group's leader, Mikey Weinstein, who has just a deep animus for all things religious and specifically the Christian faith in the military. And now he's after the Chaplains Corps in a display in a museum on an Air Force base in Alabama. We are fighting back because, again, you do not let these go unanswered. These attacks on faith in the military, and specifically here, the chaplain's flag is at issue. So we are going to, and I said it's going to be old school, get a petition campaign going right now. If you go to ACLJ.org, you can sign the petition. Joining with us, we've got the letter. It has been sent to the commander of the base in Alabama. Specifically, I've got this in my hands right now via overnight delivery service to Major General Michael D. Rothenstein. Again, this is at Maxwell Gunter Air Force Base. It is a part of a museum exhibit for enlisted service members. So it's a staff sergeant chaplain who is this museum part is about. And the whole museum is about enlisted service members in the Air Force during the Korean War. So it's not just a chaplain's museum. So we're going to get to that in just a second. You can sign that petition online at ACLJ.org because you can't take these for granted that the Air Force won't just bow down and say, we don't want controversy. We'll just take off, we'll remove this chaplain's flag, which is different from the Christian flag. The chaplain's flag is blue and white, and it has different faith groups represented. So for Christians, it, of course, is the cross. For other faith groups, I believe for Judaism, it's the Torah. And there's many other faiths that have their chaplain's flag. Buddhist, Muslims, Hindus. Wes Smith, who is a retired colonel with the U.S. Army, joining us as well, a senior military analyst here at the ACLJ. Wes, just very quickly, explain what this display is about on this Air Force base in Alabama.
Right. It's at the Enlisted Heritage Research Institute, which is a museum at Maxwell Air Force Base, which is where they have the U.S. Air Force Air University. And it is part of a larger display, as you said earlier. It's a display commemorating the Korean War, which started on June 25th, 1950. And so in this display, there are several mannequins. There is this one mannequin wearing a chaplain assistant's uniform that's there, but it is commemorating all of the different service people in the Korean War, one of whom happens to be a chaplain assistant. And, of course, Mikey Weinstein and the MRFF are trying to make a big deal out of it.
Amazing. Our team of attorneys put together overnight this letter to the Air Force Base commander in response to this demand to have the chaplain flag removed from this display. We're able to put together a petition in 24 hours that you can sign, that we can add up to we can have 200,000 plus people on, and we can do all this because you financially support the work of the American Center for Law and Justice. So yes, I encourage you. It's free, and let me tell you, very important to go online to ACLJ.org and sign the petition right now to protect this display, this specific display, because it has ramifications for all others. What the military and the Air Force does here will then impact what happens on other bases and how other faith displays are treated. So it's very important. Sign that petition. Doesn't cost you a thing, and it really does help at ACLJ.org. Let's send 200,000 plus Americans' names down there. But second, we are getting towards the end of the month. That means our matching challenge is coming to an end, where whatever you're able to financially donate to the American Center for Law and Justice so that we can do all the work we just discussed in 24 hours is online at ACLJ.org. You click Matching Challenge. Whatever you donate is doubled for the ACLJ. So $20 becomes $40, $40 becomes $80, $50 becomes $100. You get it, folks. Make that donation now at ACLJ.org. We'll be right back.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.
You remember Mikey Weinstein from the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. I think it's better called the Military Anti-Religious Freedom Foundation. He is demanding that the Air Force on one of its bases in Alabama remove the chaplain's flag from its Korean War display. It's a museum on this base dedicated to enlisted members of the U.S. Air Force, so not officers, but enlisted members who served during the Korean War. And it shows different types of people, radio operators. One happens to be a chaplain, a specific chaplain actually, with a story behind it. And in that display is the chaplain's flag, which gets issued in the chaplain's kit when you are deployed. So every chaplain, regardless of what faith you represent, gets the right flag for the faith you do represent. This chaplain did happen to be a Christian chaplain, so they have a flag like he would have had in this display. And it is now under attack by Mikey Weinstein. He wants it taken down by the Air Force. He has sent a nastygram letter to the Air Force base commander. I'm holding it in my hand. And folks, this is one of those situations where if you don't respond, sometimes, especially we've seen in the Air Force, they just say, we don't want controversy, we'll just take the flag down. Here is just a piece of what Mikey wrote in his letter. Quote, "The evil here is not only does this travesty appear to be a fake exhibit." Now, he's saying that because the flag is not the original flag that was in the Korean War, but the uniform that they have is. So, I mean, it's, again, like many museum exhibits. You take what you have that is the original and you supplement it with the things that are like the originals there for the display. So he goes on, "The evil here is not only does this travesty appear to be a fake exhibit, but one which is used to illegally promote the dominance, exceptionalism, and superiority of Christianity, the very thing that the Establishment Clause and AFI 11 incontrovertibly prohibit." That, of course, is the Air Force regulation. First of all, the military has chaplains, Wes. Second, there is a story, and I think it's compelling. It's why people are going to sign this petition to protect not only this chaplain's flag in this specific museum at the Air Force Base in Alabama, but it's about protecting religious liberty under these assaults from people like Mikey Weinstein and his groups on our military bases, on our members who serve, because there is a compelling story behind why this staff sergeant, who was an assistant or chaplain?
Chaplain assistant.
Assistant, not that main chaplain, because this is a museum for enlisted men and women who are in the Air Force. There's a story behind why he is specific. His uniform is in the, we have the picture. We can show it to our Facebook and Periscope audience. We've got it online in the blog at aclj.org. But there's a reason why, again, he is being specifically honored. Right.
This display about the Korean War, and as you said, there are different mannequins and different displays, medics, radio operators, what have you. The reason they even included a chaplain assistant in this enlisted display regarding the Korean War is that Staff Sergeant Mike Strang, was a real hero during the war. He and his Chaplain Bladestone, risked their lives and their careers to rescue literally thousands of Korean war orphans in the winter of 1950 and 1951. He was the chaplain assistant. The flag that is next to the mannequin with the chaplain assistant's uniform is the same chapel flag that they used back during the Korean War. The Air Force has updated theirs slightly, but the Army, for example, the flag that I was issued is just like the one in the photograph. But during the Korean War, the Air Force also used that flag. And as you said, if you're a Muslim, you would have a crescent on a blue background, and you would have the Torah if you're Jewish, and you have a cross if you're Christian, whether you're Protestant or Catholic. So this is there not because they're trying to honor the chaplain corps or to honor this chaplain assistant, but it's because what this chaplain and chaplain assistant did. During that winter, during the Korean War, there was an estimated 6,000 small children ranging in age from 3 months to 11 years old on the streets of Seoul, Korea, while communist forces were encircling the city. They eventually took Seoul temporarily, the communist forces did. And so Staff Sergeant Strang, the chaplain assistant, and his chaplain felt like they had to do something. And so they got some volunteers, they got food, they got medicine, they found temporary shelter for these thousands of orphans. And then when they realized that the communists were going to retake the city, this young chaplain assistant with his chaplain went out to an airfield and sweet-talked, if you will, 16 pilots and 16 cargo planes to fly these children to safety. Then they went back into Seoul to get the children. It's a horrible winter day, and they had to get the children transported from Seoul back to the airfield. And so this chaplain, who was a lieutenant colonel at the time, went up to a truck convoy and pulled rank, which technically a chaplain does not have the authority to commandeer a truck convoy. Chaplain Bladesdell and Staff Sergeant Strang did. All of these truck drivers dropped what they were doing, and they transported thousands of Korean orphans, little babies and small children, to this airfield to fly them to safety. They were 2 hours late getting to the airfield, and the planes waited on them. And so these two men, Staff Sergeant Strang and Chaplain Bladesdell, were responsible for saving thousands of Koreans, young children, during the war. The display at Maxwell Gunter Air Force Base is a Korean War display, and because that was such a huge event during the war, that's why the chaplain assistant display is there, not because he was a chaplain assistant. He happened to be a chaplain assistant. He saved thousands of lives.
And so again, folks, misplaced anger, of course, a total misunderstanding of the law from Mikey Weinstein. I know we have a lot of listeners who are veterans, active duty, family who have members who are serving or have served in our country. How important is it to you for us at the ACLJ to keep fighting for religious liberty in the U.S. Armed Forces? Because I will tell you, time after time, it comes under attack. It doesn't matter which administration's in control. It goes from these groups, and they go right to the commanders on the base. And what they're trying to do, just like the other atheist kind of groups do, is they try to say, hey, do this, and we won't file a lawsuit. Do this, and we won't make any noise about it. Do what we ask, and you have nothing to worry about, and no one will really care. And too often, we see, whether it's at the military or a city council meeting or a town, them saying, okay, fine, we don't agree with you, but we'll just do what you say, even though you represent no one but yourself and maybe a few people, and so we'll do what you say. And at the ACLJ, we say, no, you're not going to just do what we say. Let's fight back. We're going to get the facts to you. We've already got the letter sent to the commander of the base here in the base in Alabama, and we want you to add your name to the petition. We want at least 200,000 people so we can update the commander of that base and say, by the way, 200,000 or more Americans want you to maintain this display the way it is intended to be displayed, honoring this chaplain's assistant who saved those thousands of children's lives during the Korean War, Korean children's life. You know, we've had Mikey Weinstein on this broadcast before. This is who we are fighting here, folks. Take a listen. He goes into back and forth with my dad. We says we're going a little old school today on the show. We are Byte 17.
But when you made the statement about, are you saying members of the military want to take their sabers and cut the heads off of people that disagree? I'm saying, no, we don't do that in this instance, but we're fighting something that's even worse than the Taliban because
it's worse. Wait a minute. Okay, so now they're worse than. So we're going to quote you on this. Mikey Weinstein is saying some Christians in the military are worse than the Taliban.
Fundamentalist, dominionist Christians have far more capability to be worse to mankind than the Taliban because of the access to weapons.
Again, folks, understand, this is who we're fighting here. This is who sent the letter, which I'm holding, which I think we'll have linked up. We'll link it up today in the blog so you can see what the Military Religious Freedom Foundation sent. Because, Logan, that is, again, that our military has more capability to be worse to mankind than the Taliban.
Yeah.
Is what, but you know what? I just want to explain to people, he's had success in getting the military, not in court, but he's had success in getting these military commanders. We know this from just being on the podcast.
He's not
to do what he wants.
He hasn't lost every time, most of the time, but he hasn't lost every time because a lot of people just bow down to what they hear and what they think. In some ways, opposite. A lot of times we could just send a letter and they realize, we don't have to do this. But in this situation, it is we're doubling down because it's absolutely ridiculous. You've seen the photo, if you've been watching on social media, of what you're talking about. Something you wouldn't even, like a Red Cross flag, essentially, but blue. You would not even second guess it.
He's going around the country. He's always targeting the Air Force. He wants religion out of the military, specifically Christianity, as you hear in his comments. Yep. All of the work that we do at the American Center for Law and Justice, we're able to do because of your financial support, your contributions to the American Center for Law and Justice. Go to aclj.org right now or call this toll-free number, 877-989-2255. We have a matching challenge right now. Whatever you donate to the ACLJ is doubled. So a $20 donation becomes $40, a $50 donation becomes $100. This is very significant to the work that we do at the American Center for Law and Justice. Be a part of this matching challenge. Support the work of the ACLJ. Call this toll-free number now and make your donation. It's 877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255. 2255. You can also make your donation and be part of the matching challenge online at aclj.org.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.
Once again, faith in the military under attack by Mikey Weinstein and the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, which is really the military anti-religious freedom foundation. I mean, they don't want religious freedom. They want no religion in the U.S. military. And they target kind of obscure things sometimes. So here it's a museum on an Air Force base. It's a museum specifically on enlisted men and women during the Korean War. So not officers, enlisted folks. So there's one display he doesn't like. It's of a chaplain's assistant. It has his uniform. It's about a specific chaplain and his story. And in that display, they include the similar flag. They have his actual uniform, and they have the similar flag to the chaplain flag that he would have had with him serving in Korea. And again, that flag, even Mike said, well, it's not the exact flag. Well, it's a replica of the exact flag he had. And you see that in museums all the time. The actual relics next to representations of what else would have been around it. So he writes in his letter to the Air Force Base commander that the Military Religious Freedom Foundation believes that this exhibit is nothing more than a pretextual attempt to proselytize the Christian faith to the exclusion of any and all other faiths or no faith traditions, and request that you order an immediate formal investigation into this bizarre and most troubling matter. That particular, quote, Christian flag, an indoor flag, did not sit out and expose in North Korea. And then he goes on to say, with its, quote, Christian cross, if this story cannot be verified, it must be officially endorsing religion and flagrant violation of the Establishment Clause. He wants people to be punished. I mean, he wants an investigation, and then he wants people to be punished for this. Logan, I want to go right to the phones.
Yes, as we go to the phones, you can give us a call, as Jordan said. And let's go to it. Let's go to Scott, who is a retired person in the military in Ohio, on line 2. Scott, you're on the air.
Hey, thanks. I served 21 years in the Army. I was with the 82nd Airborne Division. I've been all over the world. Soldiers want prayer. They want chaplains. We want God in the military. So please don't let these people take it away.
Well, Scott, that's what we're doing here. That's why we haven't done a petition like this in a while, but I think that we've launched it on air as well because of people just like you, Scott, where prayer was so important during your many years of service. We have a retired chaplain here with us as part of our staff at the ACLJ, retired Colonel Wes Smith, who is sitting right next to us here in the studio. Wes, what the chaplain does, as you could hear in Scott's voice, and these are hardened veterans of our, served our country, is very important. I mean, you could hear him getting emotional about these attacks. So that's why it's personal. That's why people have got to respond. They sign the petition at aclj.org because you can't let these attacks on the chaplain's corps and on religious liberty in the military go unanswered.
Right. And ironically, Jordan, the purpose for a chaplain, that chaplains do many things. They do counseling and they help with morale and soldier welfare. They also conduct religious services according to whatever tradition they come from. But chaplains are actually, there was a court case back in the 1970s where a group was trying to get the government to abolish the military chaplain corps. And when the federal courts came around and decided in favor of the chaplain corps, they said that because people are in the military are ordered to serve all over the world, where there are not churches or mosques or temples or whatever, that the only way that the military can guarantee the free exercise of religion is to have chaplains assigned to units. And so the constitutional justification for military chaplains is not religion. It is to have a staff officer who guarantees that no one's religious rights are trampled on. That's the purpose of a chaplain. It's ironic that Mikey Weinstein claims that that is his mission, to make sure that no one is beaten over the head with religion or their religious rights trampled on. And yet, in fact, that is the very purpose of the chaplain corps. And the chaplains are important. This is ancient history, but when I first went in the Army, we still had the Soviet Union as our major threat. And I can remember in one of my courses studying Soviet battle doctrine, that in Soviet battle doctrine at the time, this is during the Cold War, that they suggested that if you were attacking a tactical ground unit, that the two people you should try to take out first with your snipers or whatever is the commander and the chaplain. Because if you eliminated the commander and the chaplain, it would totally demoralize the rest of the soldiers. Whether or not that's true, it was important enough in the Soviet Union for them to particularly target military chaplains. So they serve a vital role. But again, they're there to guarantee the free exercise of religion. Had this chaplain assistant, Mike Strang and his chaplain, had they been Jewish, then there would have been a Jewish chaplain flag in that display. Had they been Muslim, we didn't have Muslim chaplains during the Korean War, there would be a blue flag with a crescent on it. But the fact is, historically, Chaplain Bladesdell and Sergeant Strang were both Christians, and they had a flag just like this flying outside of their tent. They have smaller versions that they put on their Jeeps. And so it's a matter of history. It's not a matter of promoting religion, as Mikey says.
And this is what this group wants to do to whoever was responsible for this museum exhibit. Now, this would be a member of our armed forces, a volunteer member of our Air Force. This is quoting, quote, "Whoever is responsible for this overt violation of both research and educational standards, as well as a clear desecration of the Establishment Clause's principles." I mean, that doesn't even legally, desecration of the Establishment Clause principles, to include those of also the Air Force regulations. listen to this, needs to be immediately held accountable and punished accordingly. So not just remove the flag, the chaplain flag, but punish whoever is responsible for putting it in a display about a specific chaplain's assistant and what they did during the Korean War, a story which is known by chaplains throughout the branches of the military, right, Wes? It's not just a story known amongst Air Force chaplains. It's a story known amongst all chaplains in the U.S. military.
Right. Yeah.
And he wants this person who did this to be punished, so court-martialed, I guess, for so a mark on their career for including the chaplain flag that this chaplain's assistant would have been utilizing in an larger exhibit about the Korean War and enlisted people. The one place they use a chaplain, I guess you've got to remove any religious symbolism whatsoever, or Mikey wants people punished.
Right, which would be rewriting history. The fact is, historically, Staff Sergeant Strang and his chaplain were both Christians, and they flew that flag, and they ministered as a unit ministry team, as it's called. And so, what Mikey is wanting to happen is for history to be cleansed in order to fit his particular agenda.
Folks, we appreciate you joining us on the television broadcast today. Let me encourage you to be part of our matching challenge. We can do all of this work because of your financial support to the American Center for Law and Justice. And right now, we have a matching challenge. That means whatever you're able to donate financially to the ACLJ is doubled. You make that donation by phone by calling our toll-free number, 877-989-2255. Double the impact of your donation by calling now our toll-free number and making that donation now, 877-989-2255. You can also be part of the matching challenge by donating online at aclj.org. We'll see you next time.
It is a critical time for our nation, and the American Center for Law and Justice is on the front lines, defending life and liberty, engaging the issues that matter most to you and your family. Whether it's working to protect Americans from the dangers of radical Islam and the persecution of Christians, to defending life at the U.S. Supreme Court, to protecting your religious and constitutional freedoms, we could not do this work without you, without your support. And now your support can really make a tremendous difference. For a limited time, you can participate in the ACLJ Matching Challenge. If you make a gift now, it will be doubled. $25 becomes $50. A $100 gift becomes $200. Please stand with the ACLJ right now and call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or go online at aclj.org. Thank you for your support.